अब हामी जाँदैछौँ सेकेन्ड चरणको प्रोग्राममा। यो फाइनेन्सको दुनियाँ इज स्पेसली अब यसमा चाहिँ हामी फाइनेन्सको कुराहरू गर्छौँ। आज हाम्रो सेगमेन्ट भएको छ स्टार्टअप। आज हामी बिच हुनुहुन्छ यो दुनियाँको स्टार्टअप क्यापिटल। राज्य तपाईँलाई थाहा छँदैछ, हेर्नुहोस् अमेरिकामा संसारभरिबाटै मान्छे आउँछ होइन, अनि तिनीहरू जताततै छरिन्छन्। फेरि तिनीहरूलाई अब मेन त पढ्ने आइटी नै हो धेरै फरेन स्टुडेन्टहरूले, अनि तिनीहरू सबै फेरि बे एरियामा आइपुग्छन् आफ्ना आफ्ना सपना बोकेर होइन। अनि यहाँ चाहिँ अब म पनि आज स्टार्टअप गर्छु र यो स्टार्टअप क्यापिटलमा आज हाम्रो बिच हुनुहुन्छ हाम्रो स्टार्टअपलाई सक्सेसफुल पार्ने एकजना स्टार्टअप हिरो। उहाँ हुनुहुन्छ मिस्टर प्रभात झा। तपाईँलाई रेडियो नेपाली युएसएमा वेलकम, स्वागत छ। यु आर इन द एयर प्रभातजी।
धन्यवाद जयजी। It feels very good to be here as well, and thank you for the grand welcome.
Absolutely, absolutely. We are very fortunate and very lucky to have you today. You are such a proud, you make a proud Nepali community, and नेपालबाट आएर र यहाँ स्टार्टअप क्यापिटलमा यस्तो कम्पिटिसन छ, यस्तो तपाईँको सक्सेस रेट एकदम कम छ यस स्टार्टअपमा। त्यसमा पनि तपाईँले यहाँ आएर देखाउनु भयो र अगाडि बढ्दै हुनुहुन्छ। र अब तपाईँको लाइफ यात्रा यो अलिकति बाल्यकालको बारेमा हाम्रो धेरैजना श्रोताहरू मेबी फ्रम योर स्कुल योर अलिकति सेयर गर्नुहुन्छ। तपाईँको यात्रा कसरी सुरु भयो अमेरिकामा र अलिकति तपाईँको पढाइको कलेजको यात्राहरू बारेमा बताइदिनु।
Sure. मेरो नेपाली त्यस्तो राम्रो छैन। म गाउँमा त म्याथली नै बोलियो, घरमा पनि म्याथली नै बोलिन्छ। सो आइम आउट अफ प्र्याक्टिस, बट I'll try to get there. So म चाहिँ सर्लाही जिल्ला, पहिलाको जनकपुर अञ्चल सर्लाही जिल्ला एउटा सिसौटिया भन्ने गाउँ छ, त्यहाँ चाहिँ त्यहीँबाट हाई स्कुल गरेको थिएँ। अनि आइएससी को लागि काठमाडौँ आएको थिएँ, वनस्थली। Like a lot of people back home, you want to be doctor or engineers. And my folks wanted me to be a doctor. That did not work out for lots of reasons. And through family support and everything, I came here to the US in West Virginia to do my studies after finishing my ISC back in Nepal. अनि त्यो वेस्ट भर्जिनियामा चाहिँ अन्डरग्रेड गरियो। I was double major in computer science and mathematics. त्यसपछि University of Texas at Austin masters गर्न गयो, and that's where I did my masters. And then typical software life, after graduating, you look for a job, which I did. अनि त्यसपछि चाहिँ 6 वर्ष I worked for this company called Red Hat, which is a Linux software जस्तो बनाउँछ। अनि after that, I thought I should get into the startup, and that's how I ended up doing the startup with my friends.
Awesome. यहाँ त Bay Area, especially in Bay Area, Silicon Valley, everybody is going to us Austin, and you came from Austin. So what's that?
Yeah, I know. It's an interesting story. So म चाहिँ के अरे रेड ह्याटमा काम गर्दाखेरि रिमोट वर्कर थिएँ। उसको हेडक्वार्टर चाहिँ नर्थ क्यारोलाइनामा थियो, तर म चाहिँ अस्टिनबाटै काम गर्थेँ। अनि त्यसपछि त्यहाँ 6 वर्ष काम गरेपछि ग्रीन कार्डहरू भएपछि every software professional wants to do a startup. That's the ultimate thing. So I was no different than a lot of other people in this space. So when I did that, when I co-founded the startup, it was with my friend Alan. He and I did it, and we were based in Austin. And actually, that the startup was called InstaOps. It was like mobile application performance monitoring. So think about we all use mobile application, and if you are the mobile application developer, you want to know how well your application is working. And back in 2012, when we were thinking about this problem, that was very early. The mobile app was just hot. iOS, Android was just, everybody was, the smartphones were getting widespread. So we thought like, wow, how can we, use our skills to solve this problem? So that's why we created a startup. And ironically, Alan and I came to Bay Area to raise funding. Because सबभन्दा funding चाहिँ बढी भएको ठाउँ चाहिँ यही हो हैन, Silicon Valley. So we came, and one thing led to another. We just happened to meet people, and त्यसमा चाहिँ के भयो भने एपीजी भन्ने एउटा कम्पनी थियो, API management company. And they were like, you guys are two people from Austin trying to do your first startup. We like what you have built. Why don't you just work for us? So that thing led one thing to another, and Apogee acquired our startup at that time. So we had not raised fund, but it was like bootstrapped between my friend and I. So we had not raised the fund. So and so we thought, it's the first startup. It's not a bad idea to get acquired early and see what it takes. So that's what made us come to Silicon Valley for fundraising. And after they acquired the company as part of the contract, we had to move here. So that's why I ended up moving from Austin to San Jose.
Awesome. अहिले तपाईको जुन कम्पनी जुन छ स्टार्टअप थियो Wootric, अहिले चाहिँ एक्वायर्ड भएको छ अर्को कम्पनीले। यसको यो कस्तो किसिमको प्रोडक्ट हो र यो यसको बारेमा अलिकति बताइनुहुन्छ कि हाम्रो लिसनरहरूलाई?
Sure. So अब त्यो InstaOps पछि Apogee ले किन्यो हैन, अनि म चाहिँ Apogee मा चाहिँ I stayed there for 4 years. In that process, Apogee went to IPO. The IPO भनेको त्यो stock market listing, some of your audience may know. The IPO, company IPO, where it was amazing experience to go through that process. Like, how do you take a company to the IPO? And त्यसपछि IPO भएपछि एक वर्ष, about 18 months पछि Google ले चाहिँ Apogee लाई किन्यो हैन. And I left right before that because I wanted to get back to another startup land. And त्यति बेला के थियो भने I had 2 small kids. त्यति बेला छोरा चाहिँ 2 वर्षको थियो अनि छोरी चाहिँ like 5 years. So starting from doing a startup from scratch was going to be very difficult. So I thought maybe I should join another small startup. So I explored many opportunities. This Wootric company, जुन चाहिँ भर्खरै भर्खरै न्युजमा आएको थियो. So Wootric चाहिँ so this startup I did not start myself. It was already running for like about a year. It was started by 2 female founders, and they were looking for CTO. So I just happened to be there. So I became their CTO back in 2016 actually. Until company के गर्छ भने, so this is about customer feedback management. So like, think about it, like let's say Walgreens is a mobile application. Walgreens executives want to know like what are their customers thinking about their services and stuff like that, right? So if you're using mobile application, so we built a software which allowed the Wootric as a company built a software which allow you to easily get feedback from your customers. And then idea is that we'll give you the we can store those feedback. We can do the analysis for you using machine learning and all this stuff, so that you know exactly what your customers are basically talking about. Whether are they happy? If they're not happy, why they are not happy, right? So as a business, that's very important for you to know like what your customers think about. So that's the product, the Wootric as a company. We're basically trying to solve this customer experience problem for a digital services.
So यो चाहिँ तपाईको B2B स्पेसमा हो कि कस्तो B2C मा हो?
Yeah, so दुबै थियो. Most of our customers B2B थियो. Just the VMware company छ, ठुलो company छ, they were our customers. But also in B2C, the DocuSign, Zoom video conferencing, I'm talking to you on the Zoom. Right. So Zoom also uses our product to basically know like what is the quality of video, audio, and things like that. So if you happen to respond to a CS survey, it is more likely powered by Wootric. So it was both B2B and B2C, but our majority of our high-paying customers were in the B2B space.
Awesome. So भनेपछि यो तपाईको अरु जुन यो चाहिँ तपाईको एउटा सर्भिस सफ्टवेयर एज SaaS हो, तपाईको यो SaaS प्लेटफर्म.
Software as a service, that's right.
अनि जस्तै कि अब यो सर्वे मंकी छ, सर्वे जंकी छ, त्यस्तै डिफरेन्ट सफ्टवेयरहरु छ. यस्तोमा यो तपाईहरु लिडर हो यस्तो यो सेगमेन्टमा?
Survey Monkey चाहिँ marketing research they started as a marketing research company. So तपाईको पहिला चाहिँ it's a pretty old company. By Bay Area standard, it's pretty old. like 15 years or something, I think, maybe more than that. So they started as a market research where somebody launching a product and they want to know like what kind of product to build before they have built the product, then they will do the market research. Hamro chai primary competitor, the bigger players in this space are the Qualtrics, Medallia. Those are the bigger players, like B2B, more B2B, B2C as well. हामी चाहिँ, I mean, Wootric at this point is still 15 people company. हामी चाहिँ सानो छौँ अहिले, तर basically, and we happen to get acquired again by different company, which we can talk in a bit. But yeah, the space is the same, especially the survey, customer feedback, customer experience management.
अब तपाईले यो मेरो पनि यहाँ बे एरिया आउनु, म पनि पहिला सिकागोमा थिएँ, त्यसपछि
actually I met you in Chicago.
Yeah, exactly. So you met me. Then म San Diego गएँ, र San Diego पनि I wanted to start a startup, and then again same thing, money problem. So I end up in Bay Area. मेरो जुन यो डिस्ट्रिब्युसन होस्पिटालिटी होटल सप्लाई सम्बन्धी थियो, तर यहाँ चाहिँ फन्डिङको लागि एकदम गाह्रो हुँदो रहेछ. So basically you have to understand the trend. I did not have I was one man band, like a team, अनि product. यो हाम्रो धेरै लिसनरहरु हुन्छ, धेरै आईटी प्रोफेसनल हुन्छ, धेरै आफ्नो स्टार्टअप बनाउन चाहनुहुन्छ. They have a big dream, like everybody, just like a movieमा हिरो बन्नु पर्यो भने हलिउड जानु पर्यो कि बलिउड जानु, स्टार्टअप गर्नलाई सिलिकन भ्याली आउनु पर्यो हैन.
Exactly.
But you have gone through this like your failure and setbacks and people saying no to you, and then having this long night, long day working, and the बच्चा family nagging गरिरहेछ. कसरी फोकस गरेर कसरी गर्दाखेरि यसमा सक्सेस पाउन सकिन्छ, केही तपाईको इनसाइटबाट हाम्रो श्रोताहरुलाई बताइदिनुहुन्छ?
Sure, long question. धेरै तपाईले धेरै कुरा सोध्नुभयो त्यसमा. Hopefully I'll try to address सबै कुरामा एड्रेस गर्न चाहन्छु. सबभन्दा पहिला, this is a very difficult job. Just creating a startup is तपाई जति सुन्नु भएको छ गाह्रो हुन्छ, त्यो भन्दा बढी गाह्रो छ. That's the one. There's no easy way out. तपाईं जति पनि सुन्नुहुन्छ कि त्यो कम्पनीलाई फेसबुकले किन्यो, गुगलले किन्यो, and the company sold for $1 billion. त्यस्तो सक्सेस चाहिँ धेरै कम हुन्छ. I don't know what the latest stat is, but like less than 5% of the startup goes to some sort of success. Not like Google kind of success, but some sort of success. भनेपछि failure rate चाहिँ धेरै high छ. So startup सुरु गर्दा पहिला, you don't want to do a startup because there's a glory or because there's lots of money, because then the odds are so much against you that is just not going to work. So the approach I have taken is, you have to be, you first have to understand why you want to do this startup. As I said, if you are doing it for glory and solely for money, then you are like one of million people who's thinking like that. So you're competing with that kind of mindset, right? Oh, I want to do the startup and just make a ton of money. That approach doesn't work. When I did my first startup, the InstaOps, the mobile application performance monitoring idea, that was like 7th idea after working on 6 different ideas that did not work out. So even for me, the first one, the idea just to think whether you can do it right or not, or whether you can solve the problem, just understanding itself took my co-founder and I 6 attempts to get to that point, right? So I guess the question is, how do you decide which startup to do? I think you have to first play to your strength. If I want to do a startup in hospitality industry, I would fail as well, because I don't know anything about hospitality at this point, right? So when we were looking into this thing, we were like, we know how the web applications are built. We know how websites are built. Now everything is shifting to mobile application. So how do you apply the insights that you have gained from building web application to mobile application? So we narrowed down that problem to very a specific problem, like let's apply the learning from web to mobile. And त्यसपछि के भयो भने, okay, well, are we the right people to solve this problem? So when we're doing it, I wanted to find a co-founder who has a complementary skill set to me. So my background, I was a software engineer, a good one, I think. And then I was looking for somebody who has cloud experience and mobile experience. And that's where I happened to find my co-founder, Alan. And he and I complemented very well. I was very much into tech, but he also brought some outside in perspective. He had a wider connection and all this stuff, right? So one thing you want to do is that you don't want to do a startup alone. This is such a difficult journey that you have to have one or two more co-founders to work with it. And another thing is, if you cannot convince like-minded people to work with you, then it's going to be very difficult to convince a potential customers to buy your software, right? So it's a good test whether the idea you have is good or not, right? So you want to find people who understand the problem you're trying to solve, but at the same time they're complementary to your skill set. If both of us are pure software guy and don't know anything about business, then it's likely going to be difficult to build it, right? Then probably the equally important, then it comes to funding. Like, how do you fund this startup, and what kind of support you are going to get? And that's where the family comes, is very important. In my case, when I did the Insta Ops, my daughter was, she was 1 year old. So that means that if I were to work on a startup, I'd be spending more than 16 hours a day working on this. So somebody has to take care of the family. So you have to have a heart-to-heart conversation with your wife and or with your wife and husband, if you happen to be a female founder, to just make sure that you understand what you're getting into. When if your baby is crying and you're trying to solve something problem, if you have to leave and do something else, it's going to take longer. So we had a very, very heart-to-heart conversation, and we understood that it was a very risky thing, but she understood that I wanted to do this, and I was excited towards this. So she was very supportive. So I think having the support of your family is super, super important, because that once you start the startup, it's going to be a very long and dark road, very lots of long nights. So you need somebody to back you up. That gives you moral support, just gives you energy to just focus on. And त्यसपछि चाहिँ funding को कुरा आयो, right? So having been part of the 2 startups, if the longer you can bootstrap yourself, meaning that you can put your money into it and to build the product, validate the idea, the better it is. Because the longer the longer you can wait to get outside funding, the valuation of company will be big. So for example, if you start a company right in the beginning, and if you need money right in the beginning, that means whoever is investing money will have a bigger stake in the company. But let's say you have built the product at that point in time, that means you have already built something. So the outside investor will have less stake in the company, that means you will have more control. But I realize, it's not easy to put your own money. So you do have to go raise fund outside and things like that. And that one itself is very, very difficult. You need to have a network of people that who can introduce you to the VCs, like a venture community who can invest into you. You need to be mentally prepared to get rejected by lots of VCs. I mean, whether it was Insta Ops or Wootric, I must have talked to like 20 plus VCs who said no before you find 1 or 2 who are willing to give you money. So it's a long road, right? So in one side, you're trying to build the product, build the software. Then in parallel, you're thinking about raising money and all this stuff. So it's not easy. You just need to build your connection. You need to be very confident in what you're doing. You need to have some credibility. So if you're first time founder, that experience is a lot more difficult than second time founder, because you have not seen the experience, right? So the first time is even more difficult. So there's no shortcut. You just have to find a way to get introduced to VCs through your LinkedIn connection, through local connection, and see if they can take your call. And then you basically pitch your product, and you, of course, and they're going to do their own due diligence to make sure that you are the right person to solve this problem. And hopefully, a stars will align, and then you will get funded. So that's how.
Awesome. अहिले त मैले यहाँ रेडियो नेपालकै लिसनरहरूले त यो कोभिडबाट फन्डिङ गरेर स्टार्टअप गर्ने पनि सोचिरहेको छ, कतिको यो एसबिए लोन लिएर यो स्टार्टअप गर्ने।
हामीले Wootric we thought about it, होइन? हामीले पनि पाएको थियौँ त्यो कोभिडको स्मल बिजनेस, होइन? तर for that you need to have a business going. That you cannot use that to fund your startup. I think, as far as I know, you cannot use that to bootstrap your company. It's only to, like, if you have a small business going and you want to retain your employee, then you can get this government fund to continue as a business.
Awesome. एउटा अर्को question छ, when you are like you have this product and you have find out what niche problem you are going to solve in the customers problems domain. त्यतिबेला तपाईहरु यो स्टार्टअपमा strategy wise decide गर्दाखेरि, would you go for build the best product, or you go another side like acquire the customer so you have a traction, so it will be easy for you to raise money?
So मलाई त सफ्टवेयरको बारेमा मात्रै थाहा छैन, so I cannot talk about marketing related company, things like that. Just for the pure software, just जुन मैले बनाएको छु, so I can talk about that. So softwareमा के भन्छ भने तपाई SaaS software बनाइरहेको हुन्छ, जस्तो Gmail use गर्नुभयो भने that's the software as a service, because you don't need to install anything on your laptop. You just go to the browser and you are able to use Gmail. So Gmail is a software as a service. So भनेपछि त्यो software बनाउने चाहिँ एउटा lean startup process भन्छ के. You want to be lean and you want to iterate quickly. किनभने के हुन्छ भने you think you understand a problem that you are understanding, but do the people for whom you're trying to solve the problem, do they really have that problem? Just हाम्रो केसमा InstaOps केसमा लियो हैन, सुरुमा we thought that people really needed to know about mobile application performance. They need to know how mobile apps are working. Once we built a small feature, a small product, very little, one or two feature that particularly gives you some visibility into how well the application is working. And when we show it to a potential users, they're like, this is good, but this is not enough. You need to do more. So what happens is that, so in the software as a service land, the way you do it, you build a small prototype, then you show it to your potential users and customers, then you get feedback, and then you try to iterate it again. So we are basically creating new version of product almost every few weeks, just to get the idea of like what it is. And then you have to take that product and go to the meetups. So back in like pre-COVID days, you would have local meetups where you go showcase your products and things like that. हामी जान्थ्यौं. We have gone through all the meetups in the Austin at that time, just to see, hey guys, we are building this. This is how it works. Would you be interested in signing up? And we did this probably 100 times before we got few customers.
It was 60 minutes a pitch. And
60.
Sometimes they give you 60 minutes and 60 seconds, actually, not 60.
60 seconds, yeah. What they call it, tell me what your startup is doing in 60 seconds, right?
Yeah,
exactly. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, nobody knows. Software बनाउने मान्छेलाई पनि थाहा हुँदैन कि what they're building, and the person who is going to buy the software, they have some idea of the problem that they need help solving, but they also don't understand the problem. And if you talk to 10 different people, you will get 10 different ideas of what you need to build. So that's where you have to just, a little bit of instinct, a little bit of luck, and just this hard mindset to keep iterating until you have found the right set of products to build is what it takes. And just difficult process. You just have to try, show, get the feedback, and you continue iterating.
Awesome. Before we go to break, एउटा मेरो last question छ. धेरै हाम्रो साथीहरुलाई कन्फ्युजन हुन्छ, CIO, Chief Information Officer, CTO, अब अरु C को त कुरै छैन, तपाई अब CTO हुनुहुन्छ. र CTO र CIO, यो CTO कस्तो रोल हुन्छ? धेरै जस्तै अब कुनै अब साथीहरु लिसनरहरुले यदि उहाँ पनि CTO रोलमा जान चाहनुहुन्छ, what they should do? What is it like? र अहिले जुन टेक्नोलोजीमा जुन ट्रेन्ड छ, क्लाउड अथवा के छ ट्रेन्ड अहिले नै? What are the new things happening in coming 5 years or something like it?
अब टाइटल त धेरै छ, CTO, CIO, as you said, तपाईले भन्नुभयो हैन, चाहिँ अरु पनि VP of engineering, head of engineering धेरै हुन्छ. रोल चाहिँ तपाईको कम्पनीमा depending on the company size चाहिँ फरक हुन्छ. CTO चाहिँ is more a technology building product, depending on the company stage मा चाहिँ role फरक हुन्छ. तर जस्तो when I was in InstaOps, I was one of the co-founders, and the CTO. मेरो काम चाहिँ के थियो भने I was responsible to make sure that we are using the right tools to build the software that we are building, and I was ultimately responsible to make sure that it just works, right? And then I was also the face of the company. So when I go and pitch the um, pitch the idea to the investors to get money, I need to sound really competent, and they need to trust me that this guy knows what he's doing. So I can fund the startup that he's working on. Early stage ma चाहिँ त्यो हुन्छ. As company matures, and ठुलो company ma CTO, they become very like public facing company. So like they're trying to explain the technology they are building to common people. So like, can you explain the software that you have built to your grandma? Just the ones, okay? So in a very less technical way. एउटा role त्यो पनि हुन्छ. And then some CTOs, they are always building products and writing code and all this stuff, but some CTO also have responsibility to manage the team. So when at Wootric, my last startup, I was managing a team, as well as I was the face of the company when it come to like technology. The ठुलो चाहिँ sales conversation मा जस्तो हामीले चाहिँ DocuSign र Zoom हाम्रो customer बन्यो. I was in the call to convince them that they can bet on the 15 people company and don't go to Qualtrics and Medallia, which are like 1500 people company, right. And they should bet on us and our platform to solve this problem. So त्यो सबै रोल चाहिँ CTO को हुन्छ. CIO भनेपछि Chief Information Officer हो. त्यो चाहिँ its role is changing, but it's not that exciting anymore. Like more wow, CIO को role कस्तो हुन्छ भने तपाईको information security राम्रो छ कि छैन, तपाईको Gmail accountहरू सेटअप भएको छैन, इम्प्लोइ कसरी अनबोर्ड गर्छ उसको सेक्युरिटी सेटअप छ कि छैन, त्यस्तो चाहिँ हुन्छ. So I know lots of CIOs and different companies have different definition, but it's not as technical a role as the CTO.
It's like more management role. Sure. अब एउटा हामी यो बीचमा एउटा गाना तपाईलाई कस्तो गाना मन पर्छ? नेपाली गीतहरु सुन्नुहुन्छ के छ?
सुन्छु नि किन छु. I'm behind on lots of Nepali Maithili songs these days, तर सुन्छु.
अब एउटा पुरानो यो तपाईले पनि सुन्नु भयो होला, एउटा गीत बजाउँ त्यसपछि फेरि कन्टिन्यू गर्नेछौँ.
Sure. Beautiful song. There's hardly any Nepali who doesn't know this song, right?
Yeah, this is beautiful. ल के भन्छ राजी र प्रभात, यो आँखा भन्छ मनको ढोका हो हैन? अब यो मनको ढोका ठुलो भएको राम्रो कि सानो भएको राम्रो?
Trick question थाहा भएन.
बढी हुनु पर्यो हैन, धेरै हो भने फेरि बर्बाद हुन्छ.
हैन, धेरै ढोका धेरै ठुलो भने त्यो के भन्छ मच्छर पस्ने
अनि एउटा पस्ने ठ्याक्क बनाएपछि ठ्याक्क बन्द गरिहाल्छ.
Awesome. अब हामी बीच एउटा क्वेशन आएको छ श्रोताको. सुजन, what is the question?
हाम्रो या प्रभातजी, हाम्रो एकजना श्रोताको क्वेशन छ.
के नाम पनि भन्नुहोस्.
ललन डिसी
सिकागोबाट सोध्नु भएको छ.
सिकागोबाट चाहिँ उहाँले क्वेशन सोध्नु भएको छ. क्वेशन चाहिँ यस्तो सोध्नु भएको छ, हजुर चाहिँ जबमा हुँदाखेरि चाहिँ यो स्टार्टअपलाई चाहिँ कसरी चाहिँ ब्यालेन्समा राख्नुहुन्थ्यो?
I think the question सोध्नु भएको छ कि स्टार्टअप जब गरिरहेको छ, स्टार्टअपको आइडिया छ कसरी गर्ने हैन. चाहिँ आइडिया छ, कुनै आइडिया छ, साइडमा प्रोटोटाइप बनाइरहेको छ, त्यो चाहिँ गर्न सकिन्छ. जबमा गरे जब अर्को फुल टाइम गरिराख्नु भएको छ अनि you have just bunch of ideas and you want to try it out as a side, त्यो चाहिँ गर्न मिल्छ. But you cannot do a business as a side job. हैन, तपाईको you have to be 100% dedicated. तपाईको स्टार्टअप चाहिँ फेलियर उत्तिकै छ, like, but your failure chance is going to go even higher if you're not 100% committed to it. So the answer is that you can try and build a prototype while you are doing another job, but if you want to get the customer feedback, the initial validation and the funding, then तपाईको चाहिँ job छोड्नै पर्छ and you have to do it. You cannot have it both ways.
Exactly. मलाई त एकचोटी एउटा विषयले सोधेको थियो. So what are you doing? I said, I'm doing in the side. If you cannot give your 100% to your own startup, how I can believe you? So this
exactly.
Like, so तपाईले भन्नुभएको जस्तै कि if you really are serious about your startup, you have to once is that at particular stage you have to dedicate full time and then make it happen and show the potential investor that you are 100% behind it.
Exactly. First, they are looking for whether you are the right person to do it or not. You know, investor like we don't invest in idea. Everybody has an idea. तपाईलाई नै 10-10 idea होला. I have 15 ideas that I want to try, but I may not be the right person to try. So the investor के भन्छ कि are you the right person to solve this problem? And the way to show that you are the right person to solve the problem, that obviously you have to understand the problem, but to show the commitment that you are willing to, if they give you the money, you are going to give it all to do that. And if you just say, hey, I'm still working, but I'm bouncing this idea, would you invest in my idea? Then I will quit my job. Then you basically are not committed to it.
Yeah, you have one of the questions, Susan?
अनि ओके हजुरले त्यो नेपालमा इजोत भन्ने नन प्रफिट अर्गनाइजेसन पनि चलाउनु भएको रहेछ अनि अब त्यसको बारेमा अलिकति भनिदिनुस् न
हजुर
छ कि छैन त्यो
I can talk about Ijot a lot. This is that's the one I'm passionate about. Ijot is Mathli word for people who don't know. Mathli word means light. So morning gives you Ijot. So that's the idea. It is try to give the light. Idea कहाँबाट आयो इजोतको भने म चाहिँ रेड ह्याटमा काम गर्दा थिएँ. I've been working there for like few years. अनि म चाहिँ गाउँमा गएँ आफ्नो सरलाई कोसिसुटे गाउँमा. And it was after a long time actually. अनि मैले के नोटिस गरेँ भने कि त्यहाँ केही पनि चेन्ज भएको थिएन. So I had taken my laptop with me, obviously, because I was partly working from Nepal. So laptop ले चाहिँ गाउँमा गएको थियो. गाउँमा obviously त्यति बेला बिजुली थिएन. अनि so just to get the interest, मैले चाहिँ ल्यापटप चाहिँ on गरेर अनि जति स्कुलको बच्चाहरू नजिकमा थियो, like I just showed it to them. त्यो चाहिँ excitement उनीहरूका, they had lots of excitement. They wanted to touch the laptop, they wanted to feel it and all this stuff, right? अनि त्यहाँबाट मेरो आइडिया के भयो भने maybe I should do something for this. अनि त्यति बेला चाहिँ हाम्रो गाउँमा बिजुली पनि थिएन. So with my friends and family, हामीले के भन्यो भने कि let's build a computer center in, at least start with my village, so that the children in the school and the local areas have an opportunity to basically try and learn computer. त्यहाँबाट सुरु भयो. हामीले सुरु गर्दाखेरि, as I said, त्यति बेला बिजुली पनि थिएन. So we had to buy the generator, laptop कहाँ राख्ने. सुरुमा idea थियो कि स्कुलमा राख्ने, तर then once you have in the school, then it's very easy to be misused. It could be stolen. अनि हामीले सोचेको maybe we can rent some place in the village. So गाउँको मान्छेले भन्यो कि अब कम्प्युटर जस्तो expensive कुरा, if you put in my house, the thieves will come to my house. I will not rent you anything like that, right? So we happened to मेरो हजुरबुवाको घरमा, we just happened to add extra room and all the stuff to run the computer center. And त्यति बेला चाहिँ हामीले गाउँकै local senior high school student like we trained, and then basically that student trained other, and that's how it has continued. So the initial idea was just to bring some computer knowledge to the village, and now as of today we have taught more than 400 plus children how to use computer.
Awesome. अब यो लास्टमा आइसकेको छ, हामीसँग 2 मिनेट मात्रै बाँकी छ. एउटा क्वेशन मेरो के छ भने यो अहिलेको जुन स्टार्टअप ट्रेन्ड छ, अहिले कतातिर अलिकति बढी अपर्च्युनिटी छ? अहिले कतातिर यो अहिले एमएल भन्छ, मेसिन लर्निङ र एआई मा अहिले एकदम धेरै गइरहेछ. बिना एआई र एमएल इन्कर्पोरेट नगरिकन फन्डिङ पनि पाउँदैन. इज द्याट ट्रु?
त्यस्तो छैन. मसिन लर्निङ, आर्टिफिशियल इन्टेलिजेन्स चाहिँ हट स्पेस हो हैन, तर चाहिँ त्यति, but this is not the only space. धेरै सफ्टवेयर कम्पनीहरू, तर चाहिँ एउटा कुरा के छ भने people are not going to install any, they're less likely to install anything on their laptop. It has to be software as a service, platform as a service deployed in the cloud. So as long as I think your delivery is through the cloud, that's where the trend is. If you happen to know machine learning AI background, then that's good as well. But that's not the only space people are investing in. There are lots of problems. Healthcare ma chahi US ma insurance ko, health insurance ko kati complicated sa. Lots of companies are trying to solve that problem. So in health domain, self-driving car is the other one. These things are like a really, really hot space.
अनि अहिले अब यो नेक्स्ट स्टेजमा what is the next big thing in हाम्रो सक्सेसफुल CTO प्रभात झाको लागि के आउँदैछ?
अहिले सोचि नै रहेको छु, either do another startup or join a smaller startup just to continue this journey.
Absolutely. Thank you for आज हाम्रो धेरै नेपाली USA मा आएर तपाईको सक्सेसफुल स्टोरी शेयर गरिदिनु भयो. धेरै हामीले पनि धेरै कुरा सिक्यौं, हाम्रो श्रोताहरूले पनि धेरै कुरा सिक्नु भएको होला. So we'll be really, in touch with you in the future. If something comes, we'll bring you again. And thank you for your today's time and giving us. And thank you for. We are really proud of you, and you are doing a fantastic job. And
Thank you.
stay healthy and stay safe, and keep doing big things for Nepali and all over your family. We are really
Thank you.
happy.
And
Yeah,
inspire
this is
with all the Nepalese community.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you.
thank you very much. Happy New Year to everybody. Take care. Bye.